Friends, the Lord is with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to the Lord.
An expert on the law stood up to put Jesus to the test and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit everlasting life?" Jesus answered him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" The lawyer replied, "You will love the Most High God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus then said, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But the expert on the law, seeking self-justification, pressed Jesus further. "And just who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "There was a traveler going down the road from Jerusalem to Jericho who fell prey to robbers. The traveler was beaten, stripped, and left for half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and the priest saw the traveler lying beside the road, but passed by on the other side. Likewise, there was a Levite who came the same way. This one too saw the afflicted person and passed by on the other side. But then a Samaritan who was taking the same road also came upon the traveler, and filled with compassion approached the traveler, dressing the wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then the Samaritan put the wounded person on a donkey and went straight to an inn, and there took care of the injured one. The next day the Samaritan took out 2 silver pieces and gave them to the innkeeper with the request, "Look after this person, and if there's any further expense, I will repay you on my way back." Which of these 3, in your opinion, was the neighbor to the traveler who fell with the robbers? The answer came, "The one who showed compassion." Jesus replied, "Then go and do the same." And friends, the good news, the gospel of the Lord. Being here, I want to tell you that this is a 15th Sunday in Ordinary Time, but I decided I should wear my Marian gear today because she's the patron of the Americas, and I thought it was a good weekend to wear these vestments, and Mary can look after us. So with that being said, I want to talk about these readings. First of all, the second reading, Christ is the image of the unseen God and the firstborn of all creation. So the firstborn of all creation. You know, I used to wonder, a few years ago I wondered, what is all this business about the firstborn? I didn't understand that. He's the firstborn of creation, he's the firstborn of the dead, and you know, there's the offering of the firstborn. I didn't understand what that was, but so I did a little studying at the seminary, and I found out that the firstborn person is to be said that like the best fruit, like the first fruit of the tree, the first fruit of the person. So the firstborn is a big deal. That's not to say that any of you secondborn or thirdborn are not a big deal. But it's just an interesting thing, the firstborn. So really, what the Samaritan has done and has looked at the wounded man on the road as the firstborn, as the chosen, as someone that needs attention. Now the priest and the Levite, they let him sit. And that's easy enough to do. And so it's kind of a quandary. What do you do if you find someone that's laying in the road? You know, there's a whole big thing that we have to think about if we see someone like a Samaritan lying in the road. So I'm going to tell you a story, if you can imagine. I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me at Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it's a true story, and I'm going to keep it short. Yeah. Anyway, one night I went down to Highland when they still had a KFC, and it was my friend Ellie and her sister and the nephew, a little boy, 5 years old. And we thought, should we go through the drive-thru? And it was busy, so we said, let's just go in. So we went in and we sat down. And then this, you know, we're eating our chicken, and I got my potatoes and gravy. I'm in my zone, you know, everything's good. And all of a sudden we noticed that over at the side there was a young woman with 3 little kids at a table. And she had 2 suitcases. And they were drinking water. And they had no food. So there's 3 adult women who are, all of us are, Patty and Ellie and I are all healthcare professionals, and we're like, well, that's weird. Why are they drinking? What's going on over there? So we went back to our chicken and the little boy Joshua, and we did our thing. And then we noticed that one of the little boys had a black eye. And then we saw the girl get up with these 3 little kids. The oldest one was probably 5. So, and the middle one was the one with the black eye. So they got up and they started walking out, and so we went to get in our van. We were going to go watch a movie. So anyway, we got toward the van, and we saw this girl walking down the street with 2 suitcases and 3 little tiny kids. And she seemed to be kind of shaking like she was crying. And so I said, oh Lord, I suppose we better check on her. So Ellie and Patty said, well, you go check and we'll go and start the car. So I went up to her, kind of ran up and probably scared her. And I said, are you okay? And she turned around and said, no, I'm in flight. My boyfriend beat me up. She beat up our little middle boy. That's why he has a black eye. And then the older kid says, yeah, you should see. And I said, well, okay, all right. So she told the story, and she said, we're trying to get a bus to Chicago. And we only have enough for 3 of us, and there's 4 of us. Oh, Lord. So I said, well, maybe we can help. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. You can imagine, you don't know what to do. This girl is obviously devastated. She's like the Samaritan. I mean, she's like the guy in the road. She's in flight. She's wounded. Her children are beat up and crying and scared. So I went back and I told the girls, well, those guys are running. Oh, get them in the van. So we brought them out. What do we do? They're in the van. So we said, well, maybe we can get some cash. We'll go to the coffee shop. What else do you do? You go to the coffee shop when you don't know what to do. So we went to the coffee shop, and the little 3-year-old says, I'll have a mocha. Dude, don't you want? I want mocha. I need caffeine, he says. So we brought the 3 kids a cup of coffee and talked to the mother some more. And at any rate, what happened was this was like 6:30. It went on till 11, till the bus came. And we couldn't get a ticket. We had to get cash. In the meantime, Josh says, well, we're never going to see our movie. And I said, well, true that. So anyway, we got money and we called all of them. We went everywhere and we got situated and we went down to this little stand that's like a bus depot, but it's not a depot, it's just a place by Sears downtown. And the bus was full and there was people trying to push onto the bus. And so the mother and the 2 littlest kids got on and they said, well, we're full. I went, oh, no, you're not. I said, I got 3 toddlers that had just had a cup of coffee yet, and I'm not keeping them here. So it was a transaction. We had to give the bus driver money, and it was a big to-do, and the bus driver understood. And the people, she said, I'm going to my mom's house where we'll be safe. So in the meantime, Patty and Josh and Ellie went back to the house, and I got home about 11:45, at which time Joshua said, Colleen, next time can we go through the drive-thru? Which was a good point. But anyway, it was a real problem because what do you do? Now, some people will tell this story and some people say, well, you don't know that. You don't know. She might have just been on the make. The woman was crying, beat up. The little 3-year-old had a black eye. They're drinking water at Kentucky Fried Chicken and they're walking in Highland when they're trying to catch a bus downtown. So we kissed them off and said, Godspeed, get to your mother. And we don't know any more about it. But the bottom line is, when we see people like that, it's a mess. That family was a mess. Now, truthfully, like Joshua said, we could have just gone through the drive-thru. It would have been a lot easier. But we don't know what happened. Maybe that girl got to Chicago and got situated and was safe forevermore. Or maybe she said, well, that woman was a sucker and now I got $100. Probably not, because it was a bus ticket. But people have asked us, why didn't you just leave that alone? You could be liable, but you know what? It just seemed like that was the thing for us to do. It was the thing to do. When you see a young mother wounded, crying, with wounded children, drinking water, on the run, I just felt like we were really blessed to come into her presence that night. And little Joshua now, well, he's 22 now. He's going to be an engineer. He's at UMD. And boy, he still says, don't ever go in at KFC. Always go to the drive-thru. But you know what? That young man knows what happened there. And he was a part of that. And he thought about it and he learned from it. And so when those situations arise where we find someone by the side of the road, it's messy, it's uncertain, it can be scary, it can get expensive, really. It can be. But you know what? Who knows what that turned out to be? I don't have any idea, and I got enough trouble with my own stuff. I don't even worry about what happened to her, really. But we don't know the difference that we might make. And I look out and I see all of you people that do so many grand and wonderful things for people who are on the side of the road. I know what a lot of you do every day, every week. How you tend people's wounds and feed the hungry. And we never know what kind of seeds that sows. So, it's not easy, it's not pretty, and we never did see the movie. But we know that we made provisions for the person on the side of the road.